Hey you guys, it's Colleen from Life on Cater Ross Creek, and today's video is a little bit different than what I normally do, but we're still talking about decorating in a sense. Last year and into the year before that, it took about 10 months for us to actually do a kitchen makeover ourselves. So today I'm sharing 10 tips for a DIY kitchen makeover. And this is just some of the stuff that we went through. I think in doing a little bit of research, a lot of people go through it, and this is ways to plan ahead, ways to save time and money, and I hope it helps you. So the first thing is to do your research and find your inspiration. Those are kind of 1 and 2. The first one's find your inspiration. I did a ton of looking on Pinterest and magazines and things like that to try to figure out exactly what kind of look I wanted. I mean, I generally had an idea, but really hone in on the styles and the colors and the tile and how everything went together. And in doing that, I found that we knew that we wanted a bigger stove because we host holidays here. So we kind of figured that once I got the colors kind of figured out, the stove would be what we would use as our jumping off point. And I use that a lot when I talk about decorating, to have something that is your inspiration that you're using as the foundation of what you're doing. So that could, in a room, that could be wallpaper or the fabric in a pillow or a chair or something along those lines, or even art, which is what I use a lot. But in the kitchen, we use the stove. So we did get this Ilve stove, which I really should do another video on because it's somewhat complicated. It's more complicated than we thought before we got it. So let me keep that idea in the back of my head for the future. But so we did figure we would focus on the stove and then kind of build everything else around that. So take your time, do your research, in terms of what you want to do for colors and things like that. But then this number 2 is to actually do your research on your product. So if you need new appliances at all, whether it be the refrigerator or the stove or even the sink or faucet, those kinds of things, do your research and really look into YouTube videos, reviews online, things like that. Because you never know what you're going to get. And I think the more people, if you have people out there who say, I love this product, that's fantastic, but look for the ones where they say this didn't work this way, or they said they would do this, and those types of things. So really do your research on your products, what they're capable of. What are your needs? Do you need a refrigerator that does more? Do you need a refrigerator that holds more? Is your stove going to be enough in terms of what you need to use it for? So that said, when we ordered our stove, we knew we were going to need a new propane line, and that was going to have to be built in to configure to the new stove versus the old stove. What we didn't know is that we needed a new hookup for that. So we needed a larger line, and then we also needed the hookup for it. So we didn't know that until they came to until they called us to tell us that the stove was done or coming. So then we had to postpone and wait 2 more weeks to get that done so that we could get the line put in. And then in addition to that, we had to postpone the countertops for those 2 weeks because they couldn't put the countertops in without the stove in. So it kind of backed us up. So definitely do your research when it comes to your products. Just don't wait till the last minute to do that. Number 3, set your budget. So we knew we were going to be spending a little bit more money on the stove. So I always like to say splurge and save. So we knew that we were going to be doing all the rest of the work ourselves. Like my husband was going to do the tile. We were going to do as much as we could. When I say we, I mean him. He moved all the cabinets. He took the uppers down and he moved all the base cabinets. We reused what we could in a bank along the wall for like a buffet style. And you can see all of these pictures, the befores and after, and all of the things that we did to get through it. Because again, I said it was 10 months that we did it on the blog. So you can see all those pictures on the blog, which I'll link below. So set your budget. Like I said, focus on one statement piece and then look for ways to save on everything else. It can get away from you. So keep a list, like a running list of where you're spending the money and what you want to really focus on. Really, I believe it was Home Depot, and I'm sorry if I'm misquoting this, but they say that you should do it in thirds. So 1/3 goes toward new cabinetry or refinishing the old ones. 1/3 goes toward other finishings such as countertops, sinks, faucets, backsplash appliances, and then 1/3 goes to toward any installation or labor expenses. And don't forget the electricity, plumbing and electrical work when you're planning that out. Number four, measure twice or 5 times to be on the safe side and cut once. So measure a bunch of times to make sure you're being accurate. If you're the one who is doing all of the moving of the cabinets and things like that, or you're measuring for the countertop for some reason, if you're doing that on your own, double, even triple check, because mistakes can cost you money. We measured all the cabinets and we ended up taking down 2 of the uppers that were here so we could make room for the hood, and the 2 of the buttons on the bottom make room for the stove. And when we did that, somehow we ended up getting 6 inches short somewhere. So we ended up having to put filler pieces in on either end, and it worked out fine in the long run, but if that had been like a larger gap, I'm not sure that it would have looked right. So really make sure you're paying attention to details. Number 5. That said, don't take on more than you can handle. So we knew my husband had gone through and we had done a bunch of work in the house. He's laid flooring, he's laid tile, he's done a bunch of things. So when it came to taking down the cabinet, he put these cabinets up when we built the house. So he was very familiar on how to do that. Don't take on things that you don't know how to do, because eventually, if you don't do it the right way the first time, you're gonna have to call somebody else to do it again anyway, and that's gonna cost you time and money in the long run. So make sure that you're confident in what you're doing. And that doesn't mean if you've never done it, you can't do it. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there on exactly that, how to do all of those things, how to tile, how to put in cabinets. And if you have some carpentry skills or some skills and home improvement stuff that you've done before, look at the YouTube videos and things and really make a judgment on whether or not you feel like you can do it. But that said, in the long run, is it going to cost you more time and money? Know when to hire a professional, basically. Number 6. Stay on top of it. So it's so important that you keep a schedule, that you know when everything is happening, because the countertops depend on the cabinets being in, and the sink going in depends on the cabinets going in, and the stove, and everything is roughly a type of a schedule. So stay on top of that, have it written down. In addition to that, you want to stay on top of the things that you're ordering. Stay in constant contact with the companies that you're ordering things from. So for instance, our countertop company, their machine went down twice. Their cutting machine went down twice. So we had to push back the countertops being templated or installed rather, because they couldn't cut the stone. We had an issue with the stove coming in. It was supposed to come in one day. It didn't show up. I never got any communication from the company, and I contacted them and they were like, nope, it's not coming for a month. A few days later, I got an email saying it'll be there Friday. So we hadn't even finished what we were supposed to finish yet. So I cannot emphasize enough, call the places. Are we on track? You know, what's going on with the schedule? What time will you be here? All those things. So stay on top of that. Number 7. Expect delays. And for us during COVID, it was even worse because they had a hard time ordering the parts for the legs of the stove or something along those lines. So now it's better. The supply chains are much better now, but there may be delays. There could be a shortage in the future because they don't have enough help putting in countertops. They can't hire enough people. It could be because a piece of the stove is coming from a different country and it's stuck on a boat somewhere. So, not to mention the fact that company, like I said, our countertop company, their machine broke. They could have, anything where they're, like I said, short staffed. So expect delays and build that in so that you get done when you think you're going to get done, or you can plan on as much as possible. And number 8, expect the unexpected, and that goes with expecting the delays. So I'll give you an example. when the stove was supposed to be here, they delivered the stove, again, discovered that the line wasn't in. In addition to that, when they brought it into the kitchen and they put the legs on it, because we were gonna put it in place anyway, just for the moment, they broke the legs off because they didn't put them on right. And I think it was a fluke, I'm not sure. But then we had to wait for the legs to come to put it in, which was actually, and turned out to be fine because we had to put the line in anyway. But the point is, stuff's gonna happen. They could be installing your countertops and break it on the way in. You could move a cabinet and split the wood on the cabinet. And there's a million things that could happen. So kind of wrap your head around the fact that that's gonna happen, because you don't wanna be surprised and then have to deal with that emotionally when something like that happens. So just regroup, know it's gonna happen, regroup if it happens, have a plan, and just move forward. The other thing was, when we got our countertops put in, they're beautiful, but they were much lighter than we thought they would be. And what happened was, we had matched them with a tiny, it's like the 6" by 6" sample, right? When they were installed, they were much lighter. So the cabinets we originally had, these same cabinets, were originally like a buttery yellow color-ish. And they didn't go at all. So we ended up having to paint the cabinets. So that was another expense that we really didn't plan on, which really wasn't that bad. By the way, I highly, highly recommend Benjamin Moore self-leveling cabinet paint. It's phenomenal. We sprayed it on the doors and the drawers fronts and brushed the cabinets and the trim, and it is perfect. Like it's the best. I cannot recommend that paint enough. So the Benjamin Moore self-leveling kitchen cabinet paint is perfect. But we ended up having to do that. So that was another time suck basically of ours, because we had to actually take everything off. We had to wipe it all down. We had to clean it and paint it, prime it, paint it, all those things. So that took a lot longer than we actually thought we were going to be done. So just know that the unexpected is going to happen. Number 9. Things are going to get messy. And again, if you have a chance, head to the blog and take a look at the post, because I have before pictures and I have during pictures, and the during, not so pretty. It gets chaos, and if you can, it's chaos, but if you can kind of get yourself set on this is how it's going to be for a little bit, and know that that's going to happen. Try to maintain as much as you possibly can. Control what you can control for sure. We had everything out of the drawers. We had our silverware was in the kitchen in boxes, and the dishes were in boxes on the floor. The one thing that I can say, set yourself up in order to get through this. Do 2 things. 1, set yourself up with a temporary kitchen. That way you'll have everything at least in one place. So you'll have your silverware together, you'll have your, dishes and things like that in one place. Definitely plan on a lot of takeout. Use paper, save yourself the trouble and use paper plates and plastic forks and things like that, so you don't have to worry about doing the dishes. Luckily for us, our sink was hooked up the whole time. So we didn't have to live without that, I think maybe for a few hours during one day. If you have your countertops templated and you're waiting for them to come in, set yourself up a temporary countertop, at least someplace where you can function. We set our microwave up in an area of the kitchen we really weren't changing all that much. You could put yours in the dining room. Just have like a temporary kitchen set up that you can use it, so at least you're functioning on a daily basis, especially if you have little kids. Put your snacks in one place. Put them all in like a little basket in one room, so the kids can get to snacks and things like that, so they're not ruffling and rummaging through the kitchen where everything is a disaster. Put all your tools in one place. So if you're working on the kitchen one day for a few hours, so it's a Saturday and all day you're going at the kitchen, and then at the end of that day, don't leave your tools around. You want to have some sense of control and some sense of normalcy. Put all your tools in like one space. We put them in our wood box in our family rooms, just so they were all together in one place, or put them to the side somewhere so you have some sense of normal function. have a rolling to-do list. So every day kind of see where you're at. And again, you're gonna have stuff come up, you're gonna have unexpected things happen, but the more you can kind of stay in control, the better. And then the last thing is, while you have the kitchen ripped apart, and if you have time and money, I would highly recommend putting in extra lighting. We added 4 cans, I believe, can lights in the ceiling, and it made all the difference. Just having more light when you're prepping and things like that in the kitchen, it really did make a difference. So add more lighting whenever possible. It's never a bad thing. So that's it. That's my top 10 DIY kitchen makeover recommendations. You can see the whole thing on the blog, pictures, before pictures, after pictures, and in between, the messy in between. If you have any questions on anything we did, I would be more than happy to answer those questions. Just leave some comments below. If you like this video, check out some of my others, and don't forget to subscribe so you get all the updates on what we're doing here. We have some projects coming up. We just redid some of the mudroom. I'll be sharing that pretty soon, and of course, spring videos will be coming out, home tours and things like that. So subscribe so you never miss a video. And I will link all the other stuff below in the comments to the blog and things. And great, I hope you guys all learned something today and took away something from this. And I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Have a great day.